Attention! This is not material for passive consumption. It is designed to be heard with maximum concentration. The following revelations are direct, potentially disturbing, and may challenge your perceptions. Due to the sensitive nature of the content, its availability may be limited. Your experience on this topic is valuable. Leave it in the comments.
He opens the door for you. He remembers your favorite coffee order, the obscure one with oat milk and half a shot of vanilla. He listens, truly listens, to your problems for hours, his head tilted at that perfect angle, his eyes filled with what looks like profound, soul-deep empathy. Your friends adore him. They say things like, "Where did you find him?" And "You need to hold on to this one." Your family thinks you finally found a good, stable person. He calls himself a feminist, a sensitive soul, an empath, a nice guy. He is, by all outward appearances, the perfect partner, a walking, talking green flag. So why do you feel so profoundly alone, even when he's sitting right next to you? Why, after spending an evening with him, do you feel constantly exhausted, as if you've run a marathon you don't remember entering? Why are you always confused, second-guessing your own words, your own memories? Why do you feel as if you are walking on a field of invisible landmines, where one wrong step, one misplaced word, could trigger a silent, chilling emotional frost? Why does his kindness feel less like a gift and more like a cage, beautifully decorated but a cage nonetheless? The reason for this soul-crushing dissonance is because you may not be in a relationship with a nice guy. You may be under the influence of one of the most insidious and psychologically damaging manipulators that exist, the covert narcissist. This isn't the loud, arrogant, look-at-me, grandiose narcissist we're all taught to spot from a mile away. This is a quieter, more camouflaged, and therefore more dangerous predator. Their abuse isn't delivered with a fist, but with a sigh of disappointment. Their control isn't maintained with overt threats, but with a steady, intravenous drip of guilt, passive aggression, and feigned victimhood, all meticulously designed to make you question your own perception of reality, your own feelings, your own sanity, until you no longer trust the ground beneath your own feet. Today, we open an investigation. We are treating this not as a simple relationship issue, but as a crime scene of the soul. We will put on our forensic gloves and examine the evidence piece by piece to unmask the so-called nice guy. We will dissect his methods, his motives, and the subtle, almost invisible weapons he uses to systematically dismantle your self-worth, while maintaining a flawless, often saintly, public image. If the feelings I've described are familiar, if they resonate in the quiet, lonely parts of your heart, I need you to listen with every fiber of your being. You are not imagining things. You are not overly sensitive. You are not difficult. You are a witness to a hidden crime. And what you are about to hear is the evidence you need to finally trust what your gut has been screaming at you all along. The first piece of evidence, the absolute cornerstone of his entire psychological framework, is his profound and masterful command of the victim stance. The covert narcissist's primary weapon, his shield and his sword, is not aggression. It is a deep, weaponized self-pity. The grandiose, overt narcissist proclaims, "I am the best, and everyone should admire me." The covert narcissist whispers, "I am the most wounded, and everyone should pity me." It is a demand for sympathy that functions as a lifelong license for appalling, selfish behavior. He has a vast, meticulously curated, and cross-referenced library of sob stories for every conceivable occasion. Each one paints him as the long-suffering hero, the misunderstood martyr, the perpetual victim of a cruel and unfeeling world, a difficult childhood, a toxic ex-partner, an unfair boss, a friend who betrayed him. This narrative serves a critical, non-negotiable purpose. It absolves him of all responsibility for everything, forever. Nothing is ever his fault. He is merely a ship, tossed on the cruel waves of a world that just doesn't understand his unique sensitivities. When you try to bring up a legitimate grievance, you will witness a performance so masterful, so soul-crushing, it could win awards. Let's say he forgot your birthday. Not just the card, but the entire day. A normal, caring partner would be horrified, deeply apologetic. They would focus on your hurt and immediately try to make amends. But when you confront the covert narcissist, he won't get angry. That would be too obvious. He will get hurt. His face will fall, as if you physically struck him. His shoulders will slump in defeat. He might let out a heavy, world-weary sigh that seems to carry the weight of all human suffering. "I can't believe you think I would do that on purpose," he'll say, his voice soft, cracking and wounded. "You know how stressed I've been at work, how nobody there appreciates how much I sacrifice for this team. I've been feeling so low lately, so empty. And I guess I'm just not good enough. I always let down the people I care about most. It's my curse." Do you see the brilliant diabolical maneuver? In a matter of seconds, your legitimate hurt over his neglect has been completely invalidated and dismissed. The conversation is no longer about his actions. It is about his pain, his tragic inner world. You are no longer the victim of his carelessness. You are now the perpetrator of his suffering. You have become the cruel, insensitive one for daring to have feelings. You came to him seeking an apology, and you walk away feeling profoundly guilty, as if you just kicked a puppy. You find yourself comforting him, reassuring him that he is good enough, that you understand, that it's okay. You have been expertly manipulated into abandoning your own emotional needs to cater to his manufactured fragility. This is his superpower. He uses your own empathy, your compassion, your decency, as a weapon against you, time and time again. He trains you like a lab animal until you learn that voicing your needs will only ever result in you having to manage his emotional state. So, you stop voicing them. You become silent. You swallow your own pain. And that is exactly where he wants you. The second exhibit for our investigation is the subtle, almost invisible arrogance that hides beneath a thick, convincing cloak of false humility. He will never, ever say, "I'm better than you." That's far too obvious, too crude for his sophisticated brand of narcissism. Instead, he projects an image of being humble, gentle, even self-deprecating. But it is a performance. It is a carefully constructed facade for a deep-seated, unshakable belief in his own unique and misunderstood superiority. This profound arrogance leaks out not in boasts, but in a steady stream of backhanded compliments and subtle put-downs, all designed to elevate himself by slowly, methodically, chipping away at you. He'll say, "Wow, it's so amazing you got that big promotion. I could never do a job with that much responsibility. My family, my art, my creative pursuits are just too important to me." On the surface, it sounds like a compliment followed by a statement of his own noble, artistic priorities. But the subtext, the hidden message that your subconscious hears loud and clear is this: you are a corporate sellout. Your priorities are shallow and wrong. I am more enlightened, more balanced, more spiritually evolved than you. I operate on a higher plane of existence. He celebrates your success in a way that simultaneously diminishes it and frames it as a moral failing. Or perhaps you're excited about a new hobby, like pottery or running. He'll listen with a patient, patronizing smile, the kind one gives to a precocious child, and say, "That's so great that you have something simple like that to keep you happy. It's really charming." The poison is in the words simple and charming. He is positioning himself as a complex, deep intellectual individual, and you as a naive, simple creature who is easily amused. He is the silent, unspoken arbiter of taste, of intelligence, of worth, and he is subtly reminding you at every turn that you don't quite measure up to his unspoken, superior standards. This is how he maintains control. He doesn't need to build himself up with grand statements, so long as he can gently, almost imperceptibly, tear you down. He creates a dynamic where you are always on the back foot, always seeking his approval. An approval he doles out in tiny, unsatisfying crumbs, just enough to keep you starving, and just enough to keep you trying. This leads us to our third, and perhaps most maddening piece of evidence: his complete and utter mastery of passive aggression. A covert narcissist is pathologically terrified of direct conflict. Direct conflict requires accountability. It requires taking responsibility. And accountability is something their fragile, hollow ego cannot withstand. So, their anger, their resentment, their punishment is never delivered directly. It is a fog. It is a miasma. It is a cold war fought with silence, sarcasm, strategic incompetence, and plausible deniability. You won't have a loud, explosive fight. You will have a week of the silent treatment because you disappointed him by wanting to have a night out with your friends instead of staying home to watch a movie with him. He won't say he's angry. If you ask, he'll deny it with a look of wounded innocence. "I'm not mad," he'll say flatly while the temperature in the room drops by 20 degrees. "I'm just tired." He will punish you with the withdrawal of all warmth, all affection, all connection. He will become a cold stone wall, leaving you in an agony of confusion and anxiety, desperately replaying every conversation, every interaction, trying to figure out what you did wrong to cause this. He uses procrastination and forgetfulness as deadly weapons. You ask him multiple times to handle an important bill. The due date passes and you're hit with a hefty late fee. When you bring it up, he's not apologetic. He's wounded. "I've had so much on my mind," he'll sigh, rubbing his temples. "My boss is putting so much pressure on me, and I've been so worried about my mother's health. I can't believe you're attacking me over a simple mistake." But it wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate, passive-aggressive act of control, a way to create chaos that he can then blame on his overwhelmed state, which in turn generates more pity and lets him off the hook. He will use sarcasm disguised as a joke to deliver a stinging personal insult, and if you react with hurt, he'll say, "Wow, can't you take a joke? You're too sensitive." He makes you the problem for reacting to the abuse, not him for delivering it. This is how he fights. It is a war of attrition, a psychological siege, designed to exhaust you into submission while he maintains perfect, plausible deniability, always able to claim the status of the innocent, misunderstood, nice guy. Now let's examine Exhibit 4, his deeply convincing yet utterly hollow performative empathy. This is one of the most confusing and damaging aspects for his victims, because he can seem so incredibly empathetic. He has learned all the right words. He's likely read books on psychology, on relationships, on communication. He can quote therapy speak back to you with flawless precision. When you are in distress, he will hold you. He will mirror your language. He will say things like, "That must be so hard for you," or "I'm holding space for your pain," or "I hear you." He might even shed a tear or two, his voice thick with emotion. It is a flawless, Oscar-worthy performance. But that's all it is, a performance. The covert narcissist possesses cognitive empathy, but lacks effective empathy. Let me explain this critical distinction, a distinction we explore in even greater detail when we analyze the mind of the corporate psychopath. Cognitive empathy is the ability to intellectually understand what another person is feeling. It's like reading a user manual for human emotions. Okay, the person is crying, their partner just left them. The manual says the correct response is to offer a hug and say, "I'm so sorry." He can execute this script perfectly. He can analyze, predict, and mimic human emotion. Effective empathy, however, is the ability to actually feel what another person is feeling, to share in their emotional state on a visceral level. This is the hardware he is missing. He doesn't feel your pain. He simply recognizes it as a social cue and performs the socially appropriate response in order to manage the situation and maintain his benevolent image. How can you spot the difference? Look at what happens after the crisis. After his performance of empathy has calmed you down and neutralized the immediate situation, does his behavior change in any meaningful way? Does he take tangible action to address the thing that caused you pain in the first place? The answer is almost always a resounding no. The empathy was a temporary tactic, not a genuine state of being. Once the situation is managed, he reverts to his baseline behavior of neglect and self-absorption. Watch his eyes during these moments of empathy. If you look closely past the performance, you may see a cold, analytical assessment, a flicker of boredom, or even a flash of annoyance that he has to go through these motions yet again. His empathy is a tool for control, not a bridge for connection. It's a beautiful, shimmering mirage in an emotional desert, and it will always, always leave you dying of thirst. The fifth piece of evidence is one of the most cruel and calculated: his subtle, systematic sabotage of your happiness. A narcissist, at his core, cannot stand for anyone else to be the center of attention. Your joy, your success, your independent happiness is a profound threat to his sense of superiority and control. It is a reminder that you exist outside of him, and that is intolerable. So he has a genius, insidious ability to tarnish your happy moments, to pour a little poison in your cup whenever you are celebrating. It's your birthday. You're having a wonderful day, feeling loved and celebrated. Then, in the middle of your birthday dinner, he grows quiet, withdrawn. He stares into his plate with a melancholic expression. He lets out a heavy sigh. When you and everyone else at the table ask what's wrong, he says, "Nothing. It's just seeing you so happy like this makes me think about how I've never really had a happy birthday. My family always forgot, or something bad always happened." And just like that, the air is sucked out of the room. The mood is ruined. The focus is no longer on your celebration. It's on his tragic past. You and everyone else spend the rest of your birthday trying to cheer him up. He has successfully made your special day all about him. You get a huge promotion at work. You come home ecstatic, ready to pop the champagne. He listens, gives you a thin smile, and then says, "That's great. I just hope you'll still have time for me. I'm worried this will change things between us." He has expertly injected a dose of anxiety and guilt into your moment of triumph. He has reframed your success as a potential threat to the relationship, forcing you to immediately downplay your achievement and spend your energy managing his manufactured insecurity. He will pick a fight before a vacation. He will bring up a serious issue right before you have to give a big presentation. He is a master of timing, an expert at planting a seed of misery in the garden of your joy. He does this to ensure that he remains the emotional center of the universe. Your happiness is permissible only as long as it is a reflection of him or serves him in some way. Independent joy will be subtly but systematically extinguished. Let's turn to Exhibit 6. His generosity always, always has strings attached. The covert narcissist can appear to be incredibly giving, which is another part of his nice guy camouflage. He'll buy you extravagant gifts you didn't ask for, pay for lavish dinners, help you out of a financial jam with a grand gesture. But this is not kindness. It is a transaction. Every single act of generosity is a strategic investment in future control. It is ammunition that he will store in his emotional arsenal and use against you later with devastating effect. When you try to assert a boundary, disagree with him, or express a need of your own, he will unleash the guilt trip with righteous indignation. "After everything I've done for you, I bought you that necklace you love, the one you wear every day. I helped you pay your rent last year when you were struggling, and this is how you treat me, with such disrespect?" His gifts were never gifts. They were down payments. They were tools to create a powerful, unspoken sense of indebtedness that he can leverage to manipulate and control you. You will start to feel that you have no right to complain, no right to have needs of your own, because you owe him. His generosity is a beautifully wrapped box, but inside is a set of invisible chains. It is designed to make you feel that you cannot leave, that you cannot survive without him, because you are so deeply and permanently in his debt. True kindness is given freely, with no expectation of return. His is a carefully calculated loan, and he will always, always come to collect. Finally, we arrive at the most dangerous, most isolating, and most powerful weapon in his arsenal: his carefully cultivated army of flying monkeys. This term, taken from The Wizard of Oz, refers to the people the narcissist enlists, often unwittingly, to do his bidding, to enforce his narrative, and to validate his victimhood. The covert narcissist works tirelessly, day and night, to cultivate an impeccable public image. To your friends, your family, your colleagues, and the outside world, he is a saint. He is the sensitive, caring, long-suffering partner who is so incredibly patient with your moods, your anxiety, your instability. This creates a terrifying, invisible prison for you. If you ever gather the courage to speak out about the subtle, insidious abuse, about the constant gaslighting and emotional manipulation, you are met with blank stares and disbelief. Your own friends, the ones you trusted, might say, "Are you sure you're not overreacting? He's always so nice to you whenever we see him." Your own family might say, "He seems to love you so much." All relationships are hard work, you know. They will defend him because the mask he shows them is utterly, flawlessly convincing. This is his master stroke. He doesn't have to call you crazy or unstable directly. He has an army of well-intentioned people ready to do it for him. They become his unwitting accomplices in your psychological abuse. This isolates you completely, trapping you with your truth in a soundproof room where no one can hear you scream. You begin to believe them. You think, if everyone I love and trust thinks he's so wonderful, then the problem really is me. This is the final stage of his psychological demolition. He has successfully outsourced your gaslighting to the very people you would normally turn to for support, leaving you utterly, completely, and terrifyingly alone. If these signs, these pieces of evidence, resonate with a sickening, chilling familiarity, I need you to hear this loud and clear and let it sink into your very bones. You are not imagining things. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. Your feelings of confusion, exhaustion, and anxiety are a rational, logical response to an irrational and deeply abusive environment. Trust that feeling. Trust your intuition. It is the only compass you have left in the disorienting, suffocating fog of his manipulation. The first and most powerful step toward freedom is simply seeing the manipulation for what it is. Recognizing these patterns for what they are breaks the spell. You can't unsee them. The nice guy mask falls away, and for the first time you see the cold, calculating, and terrifying emptiness behind it. Protecting yourself is not about fighting him on his terms, because he wrote the rules and he will always win. It is about disengaging completely. It is about reclaiming your reality, your sanity, and your fundamental right to a life free from invisible prisons and silent wars. If this investigation has armed you with the clarity you needed, let us know by liking this transmission. Your engagement helps this information reach others who are still trapped in the fog. By subscribing, you ensure you don't miss the next piece of evidence in our ongoing investigations. This has been your guide to surviving the nice guy. The investigation is now in your hands.